Hey, greetings, family. How you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are well. I'm well, guys. I hope you guys are keeping warm because this week is very cold. It's very cold, especially here in the Free State. I'm not sure about the other provinces, but yeah, it is very cold, and I hope you guys are keeping warm. All right, guys. On this video, we will be dealing with the issues of the breathalyzer, right? The breathalyzer results as evidence. At work in the workplaces, they normally use, I think most of the workplaces now, they use the breathalyzer to test the alcohol levels on their employees, right? So we're going to be delving on that one, try and analyze and dissect it a bit, right? The ins and the outs, the do's and the don'ts of the breathalyzer, right? So the breathalyzer result is evidence, right? I mean, for the past couple of decades, law enforcement and employers alike relied on breathalyzers to determine whether alcohol is present in the bloodstream of an individual, detectable in the person's breath as a result of testing positive for alcohol on the breath of an employee, especially in zero tolerance workplaces. Many employees have been dismissed in the past. I think we can all attest to this, right? I mean, it is important to distinguish, right, between testing positive for alcohol on the breath of an employee and such an individual being under the influence of alcohol. Being under the influence of alcohol implies that the individual is not capable of safely performing his duties, right? His or her duties. In this regard, the breathalyzer reading or indication of alcohol on the breath of the test subject will be considered in addition to other evidence, such as witnesses testifying to the behavior of the subject at the time of the breathalyzer examination. In other words, did the employee display telltale signs of being under the influence of alcohol, such as, I'll name a few of them, slurred speech, meaning cannot speak properly, bloodshot, reddish eyes when the eyes are so reddish, right? Normally, because we know your employees, right? We know if someone's got a whitish eyes, but now all of a sudden they become reddish, right? Droopy eyelids, overly aggressive, friendly, or emotional behavior, unsteady stance, right? Those are some of the few physical signs, right? I mean, a recent non-reportable labor court judgment and subsequent misguided media publications have resulted in uncertainty among employers regarding whether the result of a breathalyzer examination may still be used to establish guilt for wrongdoing in the workplace. According to some news articles, employers are no longer allowed to dismiss employees for testing positive for alcohol based on a breathalyzer examination only. The affirmation is misleading as stated, right? Now it's just some case study, ne? Just some case study here on the for proper reference, right? In Samanco Chrome Limited versus Willems, right? Mr. Willems was dismissed for testing positive for having alcohol on his breath. He was dismissed on the 25th of March 2019 after being charged with having tested positive for alcohol on the 22nd February 2019. At the arbitration hearing, a security officer testified that on the 22nd February 2019, the employee arrived at work and was asked to take a breathalyzer test on a AlcoBlow rapid device. The breathalyzer indicated a green light, meaning a positive result. The employee questioned this result and he was again tested using the same breathalyzer with the same result. The employee denied that he had consumed any alcohol either that day or on the previous evening. The employee was then breathalyzed on another machine, the Lion Alcometer 500, by another security officer. The result was again positive and indicated an alcohol content of 0.013%. The security officer testified that the employer had zero tolerance rule for the use of drugs and alcohol in the workplace, and that in terms of the policy and an employee testing positive for alcohol after obligatory test was liable to be dismissed. Right? That's just a case study, right? The employee called his family medical practitioner, Dr. Kukemur, as a witness during arbitration. He testified that the employee consulted him after he had been accused of consuming alcohol, that he took a blood sample from the employee and sent it to Ampath Laboratory. The result came back negative. A chemical pathologist, Dr. Jacob Brudik, testified as an expert witness for an employer. According to him, the method used to determine the blood alcohol content in the sample was a plasma ethanol test, which cannot test for alcohol below 0.010%, right? The report issued by the laboratory was negative. It indicated that the employee's blood sample had less than 0.010% alcohol content. The pathologist further testified that the blood test was more accurate than a breathalyzer test, and that the breathalyzer test may be false under certain circumstances. For example, when the person tested had not eaten for more than 8 hours or consumed any substance with yeast content. In his opinion, the result of the test performed did not mean that the employee did not have any alcohol at all in his blood. It simply meant that there was no blood alcohol content exceeding 0.10%. But for all clinical purposes, the result was negative, right? Now, the arbitrator is someone who's chairing the hearing, right? The arbitrator summarized the evidence and recorded the issue that he was required to decide whether the employee had committed any act of misconduct and whether the dismissal was the appropriate sanction. The arbitrator referred to the pathologist's evidence that a breathalyzer test may, in certain circumstances, produce false positive results, and that the more reliable test is a blood sample tested in the laboratory conditions. The arbitrator concluded that he fully understood that the applicant is using a method that is convenient for safety reasons to check if employees are intoxicated, but that the chairperson of the disciplinary hearing ought to have taken the laboratory results into consideration, since those have more accurate and reliable results. It is largely on this basis that the arbitrator concluded that there was no breach of the rule by the employee, as the laboratory results coupled with the expert testimony confirmed that the employee tested negative for alcohol in his blood, right? On review, because the employer then took the matter to review. On review, the employer contended that the arbitrator's award stood to be reviewed and set aside because he committed a gross irregularity in the conduct of the arbitration proceedings, that he committed misconduct in relation to his duties as an arbitrator by ignoring and or misconstruing relevant evidence, and that as a result, he reached a decision that a reasonable commissioner could not reach. The latter is important to note. In particular, the applicant submitted that the arbitrator misconstrued the nature of the inquiry and thus committed a gross irregularity. In support of this contention, the applicant submitted that the arbitrator based his findings on a consideration of whether the employee was intoxicated or not. The employer submitted that the applicable policy, being one of zero tolerance, did not mean that it was necessary for the employee to be intoxicated for there to be a breach of the workplace rule. Further, the applicant submits that the nature of the applicant's business justifies the zero tolerance rule, and that it is not incumbent on the applicant to demonstrate that the employee was intoxicated or that he was unable to perform his contractual duties at the time, right? That was not the allegation for which the employee was dismissed. He was dismissed for contravening the zero tolerance rule. Further, the applicant submitted that the arbitrator misdirected himself regarding the expert evidence that was led. In the award, the arbitrator found that there was no alcohol in the employee's system, based on his reference to the word negative indicated on the pathologist's report. However, the pathologist testified that the word negative did not mean that the employee did not have alcohol in his blood. According to the employer, it was required to do no more than prove on the balance of probabilities that the employee committed the misconduct of which he was accused, namely that he had a positive alcohol test result. On the balance of probabilities, it is highly improbable that the two breathalyzers gave a total of 3 false positive results, and only in respect of the employee. It is highly improbable that on that morning, of a total of some 1,000 employees that were tested, only the employee would have eaten bread containing yeast. or would not have eaten that morning. In considering the submission, Judge van Niekerk held as follows. The reference by the arbitrator to intoxication aside and appreciating the award as a whole, it does not seem to me that the arbitrator misconceived the nature of the inquiry that he was obliged to undertake. He states in paragraph 4 of the award that he is required to decide whether the employee breached the rule or standard. In his analysis of the evidence, the arbitrator records at paragraph 29 of the award that the employee was charged and dismissed for having tested positive for alcohol on the 22nd February 2019 at the workplace. The arbitrator's finding at paragraph 31 of the award is stated in the following terms. It is my finding that there was no breach of the rule by the applicant, as the laboratory results coupled with the expert testimony confirmed that he did not have alcohol in his blood. All these passages suggest that the arbitrator was fully aware that the employee had been dismissed for having alcohol in his blood and not for intoxication, and that he was required to determine whether the employer had established this fact. The only finding made by the arbitrator is one that the employee did not have alcohol in his blood. There is no finding regarding intoxication. It cannot be said, therefore, that the arbitrator misconceived the nature of the inquiry or that the applicant was denied a fair trial, right? Now, turning then to the applicant's submission in regard to what it contains are reviewable irregularities on the part of the arbitrator and the unreasonableness of the result. I am unable to find any misdirection by the arbitrator in his assessment of the evidence. The evidence discloses that after the breathalyzer test, the employee's blood sample analyzed by the Empathy laboratory produced a negative result. Brodke, the applicant's expert witness, confirmed that the blood test was more reliable than any breathalyzer test is prone to producing false positive results to the extent that the applicant challenges the arbitrator's interpretation of the evidence relating to the inability of any blood test to measure any reading below 0.9% G/DL. It does not necessarily follow, as the applicant submits, that the arbitrator misdirected himself in determining the balance of probability. According to Judge van Niekerk, the arbitrator took a reasonable decision based on the evidence and in the absence of a reviewable irregularity in the arbitrator's assessment of the evidence. The review application was dismissed. Right. As a result of the court not finding fault with the arbitrator's analysis of the evidence and reasoning, many news applications claim that the breathalyzer can no longer be used to determine whether an employee consumed alcohol in contravention of company policy. The aforementioned is an incorrect interpretation of the judgment. The court was not required to rule on the admissibility of the breathalyzer test result or the accuracy thereof. Right? The court was merely required to determine whether the arbitrator took a reasonable decision in favoring the evidence of the employee above that of the employer. Respectfully, it seems as if employer's representation during arbitration resulted in the finding that the employee was unfairly dismissed. The testimony of the employer's expert witness, Dr. Broderick, the pathologist, proved to be fatal to the case of the employee. The employer failed to rebut the expert testimony of Dr. Broderick, which it introduced into evidence. As per the arbitration award, the employer also failed to address the timelines after the employee was tested positive and when the blood was drawn by his medical practitioner. The security officers testified that the employee was tested at 6 minutes to 10 a.m. The employee's medical practitioner testified that he consulted with him between 5 to 10 and 10 minutes past 5. Evidently, this also required further exploration, which was unfortunately not the case. The seemingly ineffective rebuttal of the employee's evidence during arbitration combined with the employer's evidence that favored the case of the employee resulted in a reasonable decision being taken by the arbitrator. With this, the court could not find fault. Right. Right. In summary, the court was required to only determine whether the arbitrator took reasonable decision based on the evidence adduced. The employer seemingly failed to effectively rebut the evidence of the employee at arbitration and introduce evidence to the detriment of its own case. Right. I'll leave it at that, guys. I hope you guys understand the stance of the breathalyzer. That is, the breathalyzer are still legally standing. The breathalyzer is still legally standing. Yes, I think we understand that, so just don't misconstrue it, right? Okay, I'll leave it at that, guys. Next time, then we'll continue for another video. Please continue subscribing to the channel, and please do like this video so the YouTube algorithm can push it up. Please do share it on the social media platform to ensure it reaches as wide audience as it possibly can, so educate more people. They understand the legal standing of the breathalyzer in the workplace. Siyabonga ma-Africa, makhaya.